see, and hopefully will share my vision regarding the journey to a better, more productive economy for our beloved country. For several years, I have consistently maintained the position that the fuel subsidy had to go. This once beneficial measure had outlived its usefulness.
Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election held in Nigeria on February 25, 2023, and the results announced on March 1st, 2023. And the outcome of that result is the emergence of Tinubu as the president of Nigeria, and is being challenged in the court because of the controversial circumstances through which he emerged. That result is being challenged at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, from where eventually it will end up in the Supreme Court. At the end of the day, many Nigerians are waiting for the Supreme Court to tell them who actually won the 2023 presidential election held in Nigeria in February. Now, the video you watched is the last presidential address by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where he was talking about subsidy, and he claimed that for several years that he had been calling for the removal of fuel subsidy. It is not true. It is not true that for several years Tinubu had been calling for removal of fuel subsidy. In fact, for several years Tinubu had been among those that had stopped the removal of fuel subsidy. I'm trying to get a proper word to describe his role in stopping the removal of fuel subsidy over the years. But I couldn't come up with it. But the truth be told, he lied when he said that for several years he has been in the vanguard of calling for the removal of fuel subsidy. It is not true. And they say Google don't lie. And I'm going to put an article that Tinubu wrote in 2012, where he vehemently opposed the removal of fuel subsidy. And in fact, if you read that article full, I will put the link under this video. If you read it in full, it is his own words that are haunting him today. Because many of the things he said there is exactly what he has done now, and the repercussion is what Nigerians are passing through now. I will read an excerpt of it. It was published in January 11, 2012 by the premium, it's not premium time, PM News, by PM News. I will put a link to the republication of that particular article, where Tinubu vehemently justified that fuel subsidy must not be removed, and then give conditionalities for it to be removed. The same conditionalities he put at that time in the article you hear an excerpt of it now. He didn't meet those conditionalities and he removed fuel subsidy. The title of the article that he wrote is removal of oil subsidy. President Jonathan breaks social contract with the people, by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, 11 January 2022, originally published by PM News. He wrote, as Nigerians gathered, he was painting the atmosphere because in 2012, Jonathan removed fuel subsidy. on January 1st, 2012. In fact, many people believe that the nationwide protests, particularly in Southwest, against the removal of that fuel subsidy was allegedly instigated by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And it marked the beginning of the problem of Jonathan administration, because Jonathan came to power in 2011 with a lot of goodwill. He wanted to do right for the country. And given the circumstances of his emergence, the resistance of the northern oligarch against his emergence, the circumstances Jonathan suffered because they didn't even want him to be acting president, talk less of being president. But he was able to weather all those storms, coming from a humble background. So his emergence was seen as a breath of fresh air. But his courageous leadership of trying to stop fuel subsidy because of the same corruption issue was thwarted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his supporters. It was thwarted by them because by the protests, nationwide protests, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu supported it, wrote this article that we're talking about now. Tunde Bakare, Femi Falana, all of them, they were all against Jonathan for removing fuel subsidy. Why must fuel subsidy be removed? And we're going to look at what Tinubu said here, so that you now know that all these guys, all these people, they're just playing politics. Because the reason he is giving today for the removal of fuel subsidy had been given before by Jonathan. And you will see what he said about those reasons in 2012. And you now know that it is not true that he had been at the vanguard of supporting the removal of fuel subsidy. Indeed, you can say that he was among those who sabotaged the removal of fuel subsidy. Now, as I said, this Jonathan removed fuel subsidy on January 1st, 2012. So Tinubu started his article by painting the picture of the atmosphere that led to the removal. He said, as Nigerians gather with family and friends to celebrate the new year, the federal government was baking a national cake wrapped in the skin that will instantly make a new year a bitter one. You can see he described the removal of fuel subsidy that it made the new year a bitter one. Barely had the public weaned itself from last year when government dropped a historic surprise on an unsuspecting nation. The PPRA issued a statement abolishing the fuel subsidy. By this slay piece of paper, the federal government breached the social contract. It said by removing the fuel subsidy, the federal government breached social contract with the people. So are we saying now that Tinubu removed fuel subsidy now that he breached the social contract with the people? This is what he said. The removal of the fuel subsidy in 2012 was a breach of the social contract between the government and the people. So what do we call what he has done now in 2023? Let's go. He said, this government, which owes its very existence to the people's desire to be governed by someone more humble than elitist, has turned its back on the collective will. By his bureaucratic fiat, government made the most faithful economic decision any administration has made since the inception of the Fourth Republic. And it has done so with an arrogant wave of hand, as if issuing a minor regulation. Look at how he described it, that he did it with an arrogant wave of hand, as if issuing a minor regulation. Now, how did Tinubu himself remove fuel subsidy on May 29? Didn't he say with a wave of hand that no more subsidy? And he was hailed as being courageous. But look at how he described Jonathan removing it on January 1st, 2012. He says he done so with an arrogant wave of hand, as if issuing a minor regulation. Continuing, he said, because of the terrible substance of the decision and the haughty style of its enactment, the people feel betrayed and angry. Continuing, he said, at this moment, we know not where this anger will lead. In good conscience, here he was trying to say that this anger of the people may lead to violence, but he wanted to present himself as he doesn't support violence. So he said, in good conscience, we pray against violence. Also, in good conscience, it is the duty of every citizen to be peaceful, to peacefully demonstrate and record their opposition to this draconian measure that is swiftly crippling the economy more than it will ever cure it. So he realized, he acknowledged in 2012 that removing the fuel subsidy leads to crippling of the economy. And he described it, the removal, as draconic. It's a draconian measure. Continue, he said, by taking this step, government has tossed the people into the depths of the midnight sea. He said, by taking this action, by removing fuel subsidy, government have thrown the people into the depth of the midnight sea. You can see the kind of picture he was painting. He said, government demands the people swim to safety under their own power, claiming the attendant hardship will build character and add efficiency to the national economy. It is easy to make these claims when one is dry and unsure. Government have us believe, he said, government would have us believe that every hardship it manufactures for the people to endure is a good thing. But today, Tinubu is telling us to endure the hardship that he has brought with the removal of fuel subsidy. But in 2012, in his opposition to fuel subsidy removal, he said that government would have us believe that every hardship it manufactures for the people to endure is a good thing. He said, this is a lie. He said, this is a lie, that the hardship that fuel subsidy will not bring anything good. He said it will not bring anything good. This is a lie. He said the hardship they thrust upon the poor often bear no other purpose than to keep them poor. So are we to say now that the poverty that has been brought upon Nigeria by the removal of fuel subsidy by Tinubu in 2023 cannot do us any good? It can only make us more poorer. Just the same way he claimed that Jonathan removing the fuel subsidy in 2012 is going to make us more poorer. So he said that the hardship they thrust upon the poor often bear no other purpose than to keep them poor. This is such a time. Going on, he said, I'm not calling President Jonathan an evil man. I do not believe he is perverse. However, the economic ideas controlling him are so misguided that they have a perverse impact. Because he is slave to wrong-headed economists, the people will become enslaved to greater misery. This crisis will bear his name and will be his legacy. He said that the crisis that emanated from the removal of fuel subsidy by Jonathan will bear his name and it will be his legacy. He said the people now pay a steep tax for voting him into office. He said the people now pay a steep tax for voting Jonathan into office. Are we now saying, using the word of Tinubu in 2012, that the people of Nigeria in 2023 are now paying a steep tax for voting Ashwaju into office? But that's debatable because there are many Nigerians who believe that they didn't vote for him. Of course, if you look at the figures from the presidential election result, he got only 8.7 million. That's in their INEC disputed figures. Atiku Abubakar got 6.9. P2B got 6.1. Kwankwaso got 1.4. If you calculate what Atiku, Peter Obi, and Kwankwaso got, it's almost 15 million votes that voted against Tinubu. So there are a whole lot of Nigerians that voted against him. Okay? But let's continue with his letter, with his article. He said, the removal of the subsidy is the Jonathan tax. So he coined the subsidy removal in 2012 as Jonathan tax. So are we to say that the high cost of fuel we are paying today, can we call it the Tinubu tax, as we call Jonathan's removal of fuel subsidy, Jonathan tax? He said this situation shows that ideas count more than personalities. People may occupy office, but how that person performs depends on the ideas that occupies his mind. Now he continued. He says someday Nigeria will have to remove the subsidy. Now he is not talking about that one day that the subsidy will be removed, but it is not today. But many have said that Nigeria would have saved trillions if we had removed it in 2012. He said, but in his article, he said, though someday Nigeria will have to remove the subsidy, the time to do it is not now. So he says not now. You can see it is not true when he said that he had been in support of the removal of fuel subsidy for decades. It's not true. He said the time to do it is not now. He said this subsidy removal is ill-timed and violates the condition precedent necessary before such a decision is made. He said it was ill-timed. It violates the condition precedent necessary before such a decision is made. Now he began to give conditions that must be made before fuel subsidy could be removed. He said, first, government needs to clean up and throw away the salad of corruption in the NNPC. Has government done that with NNPC? Is NNPC not still as corrupt as ever, as been claimed all these years? And Tinubu removed the fuel subsidy. Did he wait to clean up the NNPC? Of course he didn't. He continued. He said, then proceed to lay the foundation for a mass transit system. He said, then the government will put in place mass transit system. Did Tinubu put any mass transit system in place before he removed fuel subsidy in 2023? But in 2012, he said for Jonathan to remove fuel subsidy, there must be a mass transit system in the railway and the road network with long-term bonds and fully developed energy sector towards the revitalization of Nigeria's economy and easing the burden and any subsidy removal may have on the people. So you can see he sets a standard for fuel subsidy removal for it to take place. He said once these conditions are not in place, you can't remove fuel subsidy. But he didn't put it in place when he removed fuel subsidy on May 29, 2022. He continued. He said, but we know that this is about more than the fuel subsidy. It is about government's ideas on the role of money in better the lives of people, about the relationship between government and the people. and about the primary objective of government's interaction in the economy. It is about whom among the Nigeria's various social classes does government most value. This is why public reaction has been heated. It is not so much that people have to spend more money. You say it is not because people have to spend more money. So you can see from this excerpt, which I will put the full article, you can read it and share it so that people will know that our leaders are playing politics with the country, with Nigerians, and they are not sincere. When they oppose something, it's basically because of political interest and not because of the interest of the people. Because all the things he opposed Jonathan against fuel subsidy is what he is now implementing, and the people are suffering the same thing he said that people suffered in 2012. Okay, so in summary, it is to show that it is not true, and that is broadcast that he had been at the forefront of calling for fuel subsidy removal. It is not true. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.